Good evening, guys. So thank you for joining me or catching up on when you can on this session. But we've got a lovely relaxing session this evening for our float away class. So please grab yourself lots of pillows and cushions and blankets and things, anything that you need to get yourself nice and comfortable, because in this session we will be spending plenty of time in each pose, allowing ourselves to get really comfortable and to stretch nice and deeply. And then we'll be finishing with a really nice yoga nidra guided relaxation at the end. So let's get started. We're going to begin lying down on our back, so find yourself somewhere comfortable and we'll get going. So just lying down on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. And we're going to slide the feet a little way away from the hips and take them a little bit wider apart than the hips as well. And then we can let our knees fall in and rest against each other. Now give your hips a little bit of a wiggle until that lower back feels nice and comfortable. And just make any adjustments you need in the pose to allow yourself to be lovely and comfortable. And then we're going to begin by placing one hand on our chest and the other hand on our belly. And then close your eyes or soften your gaze and allow yourself to slow down now. So using the breath as a tool to help you focus and to help you switch off from anything else that we don't need to be focusing on right now. So bringing your awareness to that movement with the breath as you inhale, and your hands gently rise and fall with every breath. Breathing in and feeling the chest rise and the belly rise, and breathing out and feeling them both gently relax. So take a few breaths like this, really tuning in to that movement of the breath in the body, and allow yourself to sink more and more deeply into relaxation now. Just letting go. So taking the time to remind yourself now that there's nowhere else that you need to be, and there's nothing else that needs to be done right now. Just enjoying this time on the mat and allowing yourself time to unwind and to relax. Now just starting to make some small movements, turning your head gently from side to side. Taking it really slowly, looking from one side to the other. And then gently tucking the chin to the chest, to just stretch out the back of the neck, lengthening. And then relax, letting that head fall into a nice neutral position. Now just continuing to focus in on the breath, and we're not trying to change the breath in any way this evening. We're not trying to breathe in a particular way. We're just letting ourselves breathe naturally, but using it as a focus to help us become more and more deeply relaxed. So next time you inhale, just let your arms fall out to the sides, spreading them nice and wide. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a wiggle, feeling them spread wide beneath you, and feeling that chest opening, a gentle stretch across the collarbone and over into the shoulders. Breathing into that space.
keep one hand where it is, and we're just going to take the other arm up slowly, slowly, slowly towards the ceiling, and then over, draping it across the body in the direction of the other hand. And then take it back up and down. And then we'll do the same with the other side, moving with the breath. So as you breathe in, slowly float that arm up. And as you exhale, gently let it drop down across the body. Moving with the breath, we're going to do that a few more times, just going at your own pace as we flow with those arms from one side to the other. And you might want to keep your gaze looking up, or you may want to follow the hands with the head. Whatever feels best. And we're just going to do one more. Making sure we've stretched evenly on both sides. And then float both hands up towards the ceiling, palms facing each other. And we're just going to gently reach those fingertips up. So feeling the shoulders lifting slightly away from the mat as you reach and lengthen. And take a lovely big deep breath in. And as you exhale, let those arms fall across the body into a nice hug. So not necessarily creeping the fingers around the back of the shoulders, but just letting gravity do its work and draping those arms across the body. And then letting them relax down completely. Holding the stretch for one more breath. And then slowly inhaling to uncurl those arms, reaching up, opening them out to the side for a little counter stretch. And then bringing them back up towards the ceiling and repeating that hug, but this time with the opposite arm on top, draping those arms across the body. And letting the hands go heavy, and relax the elbows down. Slowly now begin to creep those arms back across the body, keeping them nice and heavy as we bring them back down to the floor. And then we're going to take a full body stretch now, so float the arms up and over the head, this time taking them out behind you, and slide one leg out, and then the other one, enjoying a nice big stretch. And if this doesn't feel nice on your lower back, feel free to keep those knees bent. But if it does, really stretch, kick those heels, reach with those fingertips, lengthen through the whole body. Enjoy that big stretch all the way down the back of your body. And then when you're ready, float your arms all the way back down by your sides and bring one knee up and in towards your chest, and then the other one. Gently holding on the top of the knees or the shins. So just give those hips a little bit of a wiggle until you find a comfortable position there for the hips and for the lower back. And we're just going to hold the pose here. So either resting the hands lightly on the shins or wrapping those arms all the way round and giving those knees a big squeeze into your chest. So I'm just going to hold on lightly here because I've just eaten my dinner and I don't think I can squeeze myself anymore. So just do whatever suits you at the time. So we're still getting that lovely little stretch here. And it might feel nice to gently rock from side to side. So just let it go and give those hips a nice massage into the mat. keeping hold of the right knee, we're just going to interlace the fingers and hold those hands on top of the right knee, dropping the left foot down to the floor. And keeping that left leg bent, we squeeze that right knee in towards the chest. Now you've got the option to stay exactly like this, or for a little bit more of a stretch, we can start to slide that left foot away from us, straightening out the left leg, and then kicking through that left heel to activate that stretch. Imagining that your left heel and your right knee are working in opposition with each other, that one person is pulling one and another person is pulling the other in the opposite direction, and you're creating as much space as you can in between those 2 points on your body. Lovely big stretch here. Keep hugging that knee in nice and tightly towards your chest. And we're going to make a small adjustment here, taking that knee out to the side a little bit, so we're going to take it over towards our right armpit. So it's a small adjustment, opening up into that hip joint and then drawing that knee up. So instead of bringing the knee up towards the chin, it's going up towards the armpit instead. So if you see what I've done, it's just a very small movement there. And the stretch has slightly changed. It's moved and we're opening into the inside of that hip joint now. Slightly different stretch. Keep kicking through the opposite heel if you want to keep this stretch nice and active, or just allow that opposite leg to go soft if you want a more restorative pose. Then we're going to bring that knee back to the centre once again. This time just placing the left hand on top of the knee and allowing the right hand to come down to rest on the floor beside you. Take a deep breath in here, and as you exhale, begin to draw that knee across your body now with that left hand. So taking it over, all the way across, drawing yourself into a nice twist. So that knee doesn't have to come all the way down to the floor. You might find it comfortable to rest the foot on the opposite leg and then just allow that knee to come over to wherever it can. Now if you were staying in this pose for a bit longer, you might want to use a pillow or a cushion to rest underneath that leg so that it rested down more comfortably. But we're only staying in the pose briefly, so it's okay to have that leg hovering slightly. Bringing your focus now to the opposite shoulder, so in this case it's my right shoulder. I'm going to make sure that it's planted firmly down into the mat. So if that shoulder starts to lift and you begin to roll over, you're not getting the benefits of the twist, and we really want to feel that twist going all the way down the spine, from the top to the bottom. Turning the head to look away from the bent knee to complete that twist. And then take a couple of breaths here. Slowly starting to roll back to the centre. Taking both hands on top of that knee once again and giving it another squeeze in towards you. Now we're just going to bend the opposite leg a little bit once again, so bringing the sole of the foot flat down onto the floor. And that will make this next stretch a little bit easier for us. So with this right knee still hugged into the chest, we're going to reach our arm down the inside of this leg, either holding on somewhere on the shin, the ankle, or the outside edge of the foot if possible. And start to slowly lift that foot so that the sole of the foot comes up towards the ceiling and your knee gently draws down towards the floor at the side of you. And this is half happy baby, so you should be feeling this big stretch on the inside of the hip joint here. So breathe into the pose and hold it for as long as you can, aiming for a few breaths, nice and slowly. And if it begins to feel a bit intense in that hip, all you need to do is just bring that foot in to the centre for a moment and then bring it back up. So here we want the knee to be a little bit further out than the hip, and we want that foot to be a little bit further out again than the knee. And that's where we'll get the best stretch, but it is quite a strong stretch, this. So just hold it for as long as you can. And then when you're ready to release, bring that foot back in towards the hip. And then let go. Bringing the foot down to the floor. And we're just going to stretch out that leg, so straighten it out. And the other one. And come into that nice full body stretch once again. Kicking through the heels, reaching with those fingertips. And then floating the arms back down by the sides. Bringing both knees into the chest. And having a nice squeeze as we gently rock from side to side. Bringing the hands now onto the left knee, interlacing the fingers. And holding on the top of that knee, we're going to drop the right foot down to the floor this time. Squeeze that knee in, nice and close towards the chest. And then if you want to, you can slide that foot out. Taking a lovely big stretch into the opposite hip. Kicking through the heel. And lengthening all the way from the heel up to the knee. Just enjoying that stretch. So as we're using the strength in our arms to keep squeezing this knee in, try to relax your shoulders. So it should just be the arms, the forearms that are working here. And this shouldn't be coming from the shoulders. We want to let go of as much tension as we can do in the upper body. Making that small adjustment now of opening that hip, so taking that knee up towards the left armpit. And continue to squeeze it in nice and tight towards you. And send the breath into that hip if you are feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Just come back to the breath. And every time you inhale, imagine that breath swirling around the hip joint, creating space and releasing tension. And then when you exhale, let your body melt more deeply into the stretch. Carefully bringing it back to the centre. And then releasing hold with the left hand, so keeping the right hand on top of the knee. Bringing the left hand down to the floor beside you. And gently we begin to draw that knee across the body, taking it into that twist to the other side this time. So take your time, adjust where that foot comes to rest on the opposite leg, so that you can twist comfortably. Reminding the left shoulder to stay connected down to the mat, and turning the head to look away from the bent leg over towards the left. Giving yourself a few breaths here to enjoy this lovely twist. And then carefully start to bring that knee back to the centre. And then we're going to slide the opposite foot a little bit closer so that leg is bent. As we have a go at our half happy baby on this side now. So this time taking the arm down the inside of the left leg and taking hold wherever you can, either on the foot, the ankle or the shin. Floating that foot up towards the ceiling and just taking it out slightly towards the side. breathing here, so feeling that knee sinking down towards the floor beside you. Again, we're just using the strength in the arms here. We're trying to relax the shoulders as much as possible. So we are working into our hips quite a lot this evening. It's a lovely hip opening class. We're approaching a full moon at the moment, and it's a time where it's really nice to work with hip opening stretches, releasing and letting go of any tension that might be stored there. Carefully now bring that foot in towards the hips and drop that foot down to the floor, sliding both feet out just to take one more full body stretch, reaching the arms over the head, kicking through the heels, enjoying that stretch all the way down the back and the front of the body. And then bring the arms back down by your sides. So we're just going to roll onto one side to help ourselves into a seated position. Take your time. Coming to sit now in cobblers or butterfly pose, so with the soles of the feet together. We just gently let those knees rest down. So holding onto the feet, and we just imagine that we're opening up the pages of a book. So let our feet roll out and the soles of the feet open upwards. And if you're staying in this pose for longer, again, you could provide some padding, some cushions underneath those knees, just to let yourself really sink more comfortably into the pose. But we won't be staying in it for too long tonight. So feel the hips just sinking down into the mat, and send the breath into those hip joints and allow them to open up and to relax. Dropping the chin to the chest, we're going to gently round through the back. So just feel those shoulders melting forward. And just round to wherever feels okay for you. And then carefully we'll unfold the same way, so starting to stack that spine up nice and tall once again, rolling those shoulders back and down a few times, and keeping those legs in that same position. And the longer we stay in this pose, the more you will feel those knees gently sinking down closer to the floor. Keeping the hands resting on the feet, we're going to take some circles now with the upper body moving into those hips. So start to bring that upper body all the way round. And it might feel nice to close your eyes and just really tune into your breath. You can almost feel quite hypnotic doing this movement with the eyes closed. And then we'll change and take those circles around the other way. Taking the legs out nice and wide now. So only take them to wherever feels comfortable for you. And if this feels really tight down the back of the legs, you can always sit yourself on a cushion, just raise those hips up slightly. And of course you can take a soft bend in the knee if that feels more comfortable as well. Bringing the fingertips down to the floor in front of you.
This time we're not going to round through the back, we're going to have this sensation of hinging forward from the hips. So take a moment now to lengthen through your spine as you breathe in. Feel that breath travelling all the way up your spine and out the crown of your head as you lengthen and sit nice and straight. And then as you exhale, start to hinge forward slightly. And just take it to wherever feels comfortable, and when you start to feel that edge, hold it there and we'll breathe into the pose. So the longer we stay in these poses, the more we can melt more deeply into them. With our restorative classes, with our float away classes, we never push ourselves into any of these stretches. They're releases rather than stretches, probably not the right word to use. We're just allowing our body to surrender and melt into them. So keep breathing and just keep focusing and just see how it feels. And if it feels nice, let yourself melt more deeply into it. Slowly starting to come back up now, pressing into those hands, walking them in towards you as you sit up nice and tall. So keeping your right leg just where it is, we're going to bend the left leg, bringing the foot in towards our inner thigh and just adjusting your position so that you can sit nice and comfortably here. And we're going to take a gentle twist. So keeping your hand on the inside of that straight leg, opposite hand will come behind the bent leg. Inhale to lift and lengthen nice and tall, and exhale to turn round and twist, looking back over that left shoulder. So we can gently push into that opposite leg if you want a little bit more of leverage to move round into the twist. Or if you want to keep it a bit more restful, just let yourself melt into it and go wherever feels good for you. And slowly release, bring it back round, coming into a gentle counter twist now. Just for a moment, looking over the opposite shoulder and back to the centre. Swapping those legs around now, taking the left one out, bringing the right one in nice and close towards your body. Sitting up nice and tall, and then resting that left hand on the inside of the straight leg. Right hand comes behind you. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale to twist. Look back over that shoulder and breathe. Melting a little bit more deeply into the twist every time you exhale. And then when you're ready, slowly coming out of it and going across to the other side for a brief counter twist before coming back to the centre. Bringing both legs out in front of you now. Giving the knees a little bit of a bounce, just to release any tension there in the legs. And then taking a slight bend in those knees, we're just going to allow ourselves to flop over those legs. So gently bring the upper body over, and then rest the hands down on the floor with the palms facing up, letting go. Slowly beginning to uncurl, coming to sit tall once again. So we take our legs around to the side so we can come up into our tabletop position. And we're just going to do a couple more hip opening stretches before we come to our relaxation. So give those hips a little bit of a wiggle from side to side. And if you need extra padding under the knees or the wrists, then make sure you've got a nice blanket or cushions or something, just to give some padding to those joints. So just rocking the weight forward and backwards, taking it back towards the heels, and then forward again. And we're going to take it into a lunge now. So stepping forward first of all with our right leg. And we want to step that foot onto the outside of the hands. So if you can see here, my hands are on the inside of that foot, and they're in line with each other. And from here, we're going to see how it feels. So if that feels quite tight on the hips, we can always slide the hands and the foot a bit closer in. Maybe coming up a little bit higher by using a block, or just whatever you've got to hand really, to help you a little bit higher up into the pose if it feels really uncomfortable on that hip. However, if it doesn't feel uncomfortable and it actually feels quite nice to have those hips sinking low, we can start to edge that foot a bit further forward, and the hands, so we can sink those hips nice and low, rocking forward and backwards into the stretch. And I want you just to move now in any way that feels nice on your hips. So it might feel nice to do some little circles with those hips, taking them around. It might feel nice to rock back and forward, or it might feel nice to open that knee out to the side. So I'll just sit up so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just rolling that leg out to the side, rolling the foot onto the outside edge, and back. So experiment, play around with the pose, and do whatever feels nice for you. And then there is an option to deepen the stretch if it feels okay to do so, by coming down onto your elbows and forearms here. Now, there's an in-between option, which is to come down onto something like a block, so that you're not coming quite so far down. So listen to your body and just do whatever feels right for you. Some people naturally have very open hips, other people have a lot more tightness and tension in those hips, and therefore will have less flexibility. So just move to that point where you can feel that lovely stretch and you can feel you're getting the benefit, and hold it there, and that's enough for you. This is your practice, remember, no one else's. And before we move on to stretch the other side, we're going to take it into pigeon pose. So for pigeon pose, we're starting with this front foot here, and we're going to shuffle it across the mat. So taking it for a little walk across to the opposite side of the mat, so that it's behind your opposite hand, and then let your knee fall down towards the floor. Now at this point you might find that you need to slide that foot back a little bit closer in towards the hip, and that's absolutely fine. Turning now to look at that back leg, we want to straighten that leg and slide it away from us. So we want that leg to be running nice and straight down the centre of the mat, sinking those hips nice and low. So bring the focus to the hips now, and just see whether you're rolling onto one hip or the other. We want to try and level off those hips. We want both hip bones sinking down towards the mat nice and evenly. And then finally, we're going to bring our upper body down, coming to rest on our elbows and forearms, or maybe even coming all the way down
So just experiment and see what feels nice for you. Pigeon pose is a real hip opener, and we're actually stretching into the outside of the hip joint, which we don't do that often. So it may feel quite intense, but use the breath to keep your focus. And if you start to feel that it is becoming a little bit intense, just come back to the breath. Keep breathing, send that breath to the joint, and that will help you to breathe through any discomfort. If it starts to feel really uncomfortable, obviously come out of it. I don't want anybody to be in pain here. We just want to have that nice dull ache that means that those muscles are stretching out nicely. So we stay in this pose for a little while because our hips will be really tight and it takes a long time for them to release that tightness and tension. And it's only when we've been in this pose for a couple of minutes do those hips begin to relinquish a little bit of that tension and allow us to melt and relax into the pose. So keep breathing and stick with it. The benefits of this pose are massive. It's stretching out the piriformis muscle that runs along the top, the bottom of the back, and that's the one that causes sciatica. So if we look after that muscle and keep it nice and stretched out, avoid it becoming too tight, then hopefully that should mean we never suffer with anything like sciatica. We're just going to take another 2 breaths here. So if you're still with me, that's fantastic. We're nearly at the end now. And we're going to gently come out of it now. So I found the easiest way to do this is to come back up onto the hands and then turn your attention to that back foot and start to creep that foot in. So we're bringing the knee in bit by bit. And then when we can rest the weight into that knee, we're going to slide the other foot out and just give it a shake out behind you. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, give those hips a little wiggle from side to side. And we've got to do it all on the other side now. So when you're ready, stepping the left foot forward this time on the outside of the hands. And we'll do it exactly as we did on the right side. So just rocking the weight forward and backwards, making those little movements to see how it feels on this side. And remember, it could feel quite different on one side to the other, and that is completely normal. And then you can adjust the stance either by sliding that front foot a little bit further forward or a little bit further back. Maybe sliding that back knee a little bit further back to deepen the stretch. And making any movements that feel nice, so doing little circles with those hips. Rocking forward and backwards. Or opening that front knee out to the side. And rolling that foot onto the outside edge and back. And then there's the option to drop down onto the elbows and forearms, only if it feels okay to do so. Slowly coming back up onto the hands. So we can move into our pigeon pose now. So taking that left foot for a little walk across to the opposite side of the mat. And then lowering that knee down and tucking the foot in a little bit closer to the body if it feels more comfortable. Turn to look back at that opposite leg. Make sure it's nice and central down the mat, and we slide the foot a bit further out so we feel those hips sinking low. Making sure that they are sinking down evenly, we're not rolling onto one side. And you can use something like a pillow or a block just to prop
under that hip if you find that you're rolling over, just to stop you from rolling too much. And then once you're happy with those hips and those legs, lower the upper body down, coming into whichever position feels nice for you with that upper body. And breathe. Send the focus to that hip, knowing that you can breathe through this stretch and you will feel the benefits of it. So the hips are a massive joint and they store so much tension and tightness. We tend to think that we store all of our tension in our neck and shoulders when we get stressed, but actually we store a massive amount of tension in the hips as well. And when we do stretch out the hips, as I said before, it can take a while to release that tension, but we can also feel a bit uncomfortable when we're doing this stretch, not just physically, but sometimes we might feel a little bit kind of edgy, a little bit panicky almost sometimes, and that is just all of that negativity that's been stored up in the hips just being released and let out. I always think of the hips as a little bit of a dumping ground, a little bit like that drawer in your kitchen where you just put stuff and you don't really know what else to do with it. That's what our hips are like. We tend to dump all of our tension, all of our negative emotions and stuff there. And when we stretch them out, sometimes that stuff can be released, so it can feel a little bit intense. So stick with it. Just keep focusing on the breath. We've only got a couple of breaths remaining in this pose. And we're going to slowly start to edge our way out of it, coming up onto those hands and creeping that back foot and that back knee in until we can release that left leg and give it a nice shake out. Oh. Sitting back now onto those heels and roll the shoulders back. Oh guys, we're going to have a little lie down now just before we go into our relaxation with a few final stretches. So come into lie on your back once again. Keeping those knees bent, giving the hips a little wiggle down into the mat, and then resting your arms down by your sides. Slide the feet wider apart, a little bit wider than the hips, and we're just going to let those knees gently fall from side to side. Little twist into that lower back. And a massage into those hips. Bringing those knees to stillness now. Slide the feet a little bit closer in towards the hips, and then we're going to pick up that right foot, crossing the ankle over on top of the left knee, and let that right knee gently open out to the side. So this is effectively the same stretch as we were just doing in pigeon pose, but it's a much gentler version. It's using gravity to open up that hip. So we're just going to hold it here for a few breaths, and it might feel nice to let that knee drift from side to side, incorporating that little gentle twist.
pressing the foot down to the floor and swapping sides, bringing that left foot to rest on top of the right knee and allowing that knee gently to open up, stretching into the hip. Let that foot come back down to the mat now, and I'll give you a moment to get yourself into whichever comfortable resting position you want to use for this evening's relaxation. So if you've got blankets and things and you want to bring those in, and do so now. We're going to be doing a traditional yoga nidra relaxation. So this is the yogic sleep. This is where I will encourage you into a very, very deep state of relaxation. So get yourself comfortable, lying down or sitting supported, choosing any position that's comfortable right now, and getting yourself ready to relax. Tucking a pillow or blanket under your head if you like, covering yourself with a blanket if you like, doing anything you need to get as comfortable as possible. Check for any lumps or bumps in your clothing, any jewellery or anything else that might distract you, and if you find any, adjust them now. Scan your whole body, making sure you're as comfortable as can be. Feet relaxed, legs, hips, back, arms, shoulders, jaw, forehead. Checking in and making any further adjustments if it will help you to be your most comfortable. Feel yourself settling in, serene, like a still lake. And now, setting aside anything that's happened before this moment, setting aside anything that's happening after this practice, bringing all of your awareness into the present moment, setting everything aside for these moments to calm and connect. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, letting go of any thoughts you'd like to let go of in this moment. Let go of any thoughts. Let go of anything you need to do. Just be. This is your time for yourself. No agenda, just peace. Make any final adjustments if you haven't already. And begin to experience the stillness even more. Know that you can move, but if it feels good, allow yourself to enjoy this stillness, this chance to do nothing. Resting just as you like. Even your mind can rest now. In its place, there is effortless awareness. Feel all experience becoming more and more
effortless, serene and effortless. I will now name a series of points on your body. Allow your awareness to float effortlessly from point to point. Begin by floating your awareness to the point between your eyebrows. Effortless awareness of the point between your eyebrows. Moving that awareness now to the hollow of your throat, across to your right shoulder joint, moving freely to your right elbow, your wrist, your right thumb, the tip of your index finger, the tip of your middle finger, the tip of your ring finger, the tip of your little finger. Effortless awareness. Your right wrist joint, elbow joint, shoulder joint, the hollow of the throat. Shifting awareness to the left shoulder joint now, the elbow, the wrist, the left thumb, tip of the index finger, tip of the middle finger, tip of the ring finger, tip of the little finger. Shifting freely, the left wrist joint, the elbow, the shoulder, the hollow of the throat, your heart center, the right side of your chest, the heart center, the left side of your chest, the heart center. Resting awareness at your heart center, not thinking, just feeling. Become aware of your breath, aware of the body gently moving with each inhale and exhale. Notice on the inhalation that the abdomen gently rises, the chest rises. And on the exhalation, abdomen falls, chest falls. Inhale, abdomen rises, chest rises. Exhale, abdomen falls, chest falls. Feel this wave of breath, like a wave washing into the shore, then washing away from the shore. Follow this gentle wave of breath. Each breath, watching the wave rise and watching it fall. No need to make any changes to the breath. Simply watching. Watching the natural wave of breath, like watching the gentle waves on the ocean. Begin to count the waves. Simply follow the natural pace of breath. Inhale 1, exhale 2. Inhale 3, exhale 4. Continue to breathe and count in this way for a moment longer. It doesn't matter if you lose count, just go back to 1. Bring your awareness now back to your heart center. Notice the heart center rising on inhalation, falling on exhalation. Bring awareness back to your body. Feel your body peacefully resting. Feel the support beneath you. Notice the temperature of the space you're in. Notice the sound. Introduce more movement into the body by taking a few deep breaths. Now wiggle your fingers and toes. Feel the lightness of the sensation. Stretch or move your body in any way you like. And if you're lying down, when you're ready, roll over onto one side. Take a few deep breaths here, taking with you any calming sensation from your practice today. And if you were lying down, slowly and gently press yourself up into a seated position. And when you're ready, softly open your eyes. And we'll finish with a few final deep breaths as we inhale and take our arms up. Exhaling them down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. And finally, inhaling up. Exhaling down. Tucking your chin to your chest and bow down to honour your practice and that of everybody who's joined us this evening. Namaste. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I hope you have a lovely restful evening. Take care, and I will see you soon.